Jurgen, I know we spoke last night, but it appears there have been developments today with regards to Rhian Brewster being at Sheffield United. Just wondered, obviously a player with huge potential, what was it about the timing or the deal that makes it right to sell him at this point?
Is it very funny? So only because reading a newspaper, that doesn't mean things are confirmed. So I cannot respond to things from the newspaper or whatever.
Well,
so I'm sorry.
Why the news?
Oh, sorry. Whatever, wider news, but I cannot. It's not. Nothing is announceable. So let me say like this. So I cannot say anything about that. I'm sorry. Maybe the press conference too early or anything, but we cannot move the press conference now.
Maybe if I keep you talking for a bit longer, he might have done it by the time we finish. I just want to ask about other outgoings potentially. I know, again, you were faced with questions last night about Xherdan Shaqiri, but more generally, how many players do you expect to leave before the deadline?
No numbers. It's just about, look, in general, about these things. Yeah, transfer windows are obviously from a media person point of view or supporters point of view are mainly about who you bring in, stuff like this. But of course, a squad is the most important thing in a football club, because it's working with the boys, giving the boys the opportunity to play, giving the boys the opportunity or the feeling that they are really needed, that they're in the right place, that they can develop, and not only in training but in games as well. Have to try to find solutions for different personal situations, and that's what we try. We really try to help the players to do the right thing, and that can be sometimes alone, and sometimes it means that a boy goes to another club and the other club wants to buy him. So there's nothing to do. It's not to do with the number or how many players. I think I can work easily with 24, 25 players for a long season. That's not a problem. But if the player doesn't feel comfortable in the situation, like fighting for the place, or doesn't see the perspective, sometimes rightly so, sometimes not, and then we have to talk. And these kind of talks, that's what's going on in the moment. But like always, and then in the end, you will get the result or the decision in the moment when it's done. And how I said, there's nothing to announce now, but sometimes it's just better for a player to go somewhere else and get more game time. Completely normal.
Last question.
Thank you. Just one more then on the handball rules, because I know it's caused a lot of frustration, and particularly the ones, the penalties that have been given. I think I'm right in saying that clubs, certainly managers and captains, have been unanimous in kind of their, I suppose, upset at the way the rules have been interpreted this year. I know that the Premier League and the referees are going to change their interpretation slightly this weekend. What do you hope that will achieve? Do you want to see changes? I mean, how have you seen the situation this season so far with some of the penalties that have been given specifically?
Look, I think what we all wanted to have is with VAR is clarity, just having the right decision. And so I think it's really important that we keep the rules as simple as possible. And make it not more complicated. Like you have to VAR, everybody can see the situation 5-6 times, and in the end, it's still it ends up still with a discussion. It was a handball, it was no handball, and that makes no sense. I think there's still some work to do to until we find there really the clarity. But I mentioned already after. I think I didn't speak about it last night, but at the weekend, that the offside rule, it's not a rule, but it's how we interpret offside or how we handle offside at the moment is not too cool as well, because just we wait in too many situations, in my understanding, too long until we raise the flag, even when it's clear. I get the reason for it, but it was just when it was when we didn't have VAR. I really thought that the refs did a brilliant job, and then it's incredibly difficult to do the job, especially with offside, and they did really well. And now we just let it run, and then we will see what VAR says. So there are obviously still there's still space for improvement, and with handball 100%, because with all the adjustments what we are doing now for the weekend, Eric Dyer's handball would have been still a handball, which was the most discussed handball I think in the last few weeks. And so it's obviously still not exactly how the football people think it should be. But we cannot change that in the short term anyway, not. And so we have to deal with it. And I hope not too many, but there's still space for some tricky and strange decisions in the future. What I can say and what I know, the refs don't want to do that, but they have to stick to the rules. And the rules are obviously that the Eric Dyer situation is a handball, so we all have to accept that in the moment.
Thank you.
Okay, Hugh from PLP. No, I think because you've got your headphones, Hugh, we can't hear you. I think there's always some issue for that. So there we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can. Fire away.
Jurgen, afternoon. Ben was talking about players leaving. I was just wondering about the players that have come in and the process that you have to integrate them into the team. How has that been changed, helped, hindered by the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season and how you haven't had a normal pre-season?
The new players, or what do you mean?
The players that you've brought in, the new players that you've signed. Yeah,
that was all not the easiest process, like we say, like this for different reasons. Kostas because he's now injured, obviously, which is not helpful to integrate. But he is on a personal level. He was integrated after 3 minutes, I would say, because he's this type of guy. Thiago, very, very well started. Integration happened on a personal level immediately. On a football level, it started pretty well, but is of course a process. That's clear. Cannot be part of the team now as well for other reasons. And Diogo had only a few sessions and now 1.5 games pretty much, and looks really promising. But of course, it needs time. Like it always needs time. So, my ideal situation is to bring in players on the first day of the preseason, have a full preseason, which is a 5-6 week preseason. I know I will never have that again, but let me dream at least for a second, and then work together with the boys and work on different things, systems, all that stuff. And now during a season, you have to just do that in the coach's office or in the analyze room and stuff like this to keep it as simple as possible, but to make it as clear as necessary as well. The different ways of football, because we all teams play different football, and even if some things are similar, some things are for sure different, and to make that natural for the boy, that takes time. That's all.
And just on Villa, they've done something similar to you, that they had a huge significant achievement at the end of last season, and they've managed to maintain that momentum, winning their first 2 games of the season so far. I know you talked about attacking the title rather than trying to defend it, but how much have you spoken about trying to improve from last season rather than just, as we say, resting on your laurels?
If you really want to attack the title this year, we have to improve, because all the others will improve as well. And I really think that the Premier League clubs did, from a football point of view, a really, really good business so far. So how I see it, all teams got stronger during the transfer period with the signings they made. And Aston Villa is one of these teams, 100%. I think Traoré and Barkley are 2 top signings, which will really help them. Other teams like Everton improved massively and all these kind of things. So we have to improve that we can be in a similar position as last year. Otherwise, we have no chance. That's completely normal. So it's not new for us. We that's the need we know about since I'm in, actually. It has nothing to do with the position in the last year's table. It's just the situation. Other teams will improve. And if you want to improve your own situation, you have to make big steps. And that's what we try all the time. And one of these steps is for sure keeping consistency, very, very important. But how can you be consistent? Only by performing on your highest level. And that's what we try to do. And because of the number of games in a shorter period of time, that must happen in different lineups. And so that's something we have to make sure that we are able to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hugh. Okay, next two are, we've got James Mount from BBC Merseyside, then Carl Markham from PA, and then Kieran Canning with a question, and that might be it for the Open as it stands at the moment. So James from Merseyside.
Hello, Jurgen. I know you see him in training every day, but last night we were given another reminder about how good Curtis Jones is. He's been given an under-21 England call-up as well for the first time. How much pleasure do you take from the progress that he's making?
A lot. It's improvement and development on different levels, on a personal level, on a football level, which is really nice. Being around when a big talent, young talent, grows up pretty much and matures over the time. So it's really nice to be around, and that's what I enjoy a lot. And Curtis, I have to say, is just a proper part of this squad, which is really already an achievement. If you want nothing, you want to tell your grandkids from, because if it's the best thing you ever did in your life, it's not so nice. But for the age group he's in, it's massive, and nobody would have a bad sleep the night before the game if I tell them Curtis will start tomorrow in whichever Premier League game. So that's good news. And from that perspective, I have to say it's completely logical that he is in the U21 squad for England, because he's just ahead of his age group, I would say. And so U21 is exactly the team he should play for England in the moment.
And just your reaction, please, to the Champions League group draw that was made yesterday.
Yeah, it's a group. So it looks for me, without having massive information in the moment, you can imagine that I don't know now all about all the games which Midtjylland played last year. But what I can say, all the teams in the Champions League who are in the Champions League and who are in the draw, actually, they're there for one reason. They're really good football teams, and that's the main thing, the most important thing to know. Atlanta in the last couple of years is for sure was the surprising team in Italy, and meanwhile they settled in that position, started really well again. Ajax is famous for sensational youth development and football. Yes, they lost, I think, at least one or two players, but they brought experience in the last few years. They changed the philosophy maybe slightly, but it's always about football. So it's a very, very interesting group. And yeah, let's see. I can't wait, actually, because next week I have time to analyze the opponents, and which is necessary, because after national break we play them one of them immediately, at least. And so we will need that time, and I can't wait, actually, because it's interesting. They're all different ways, and so yeah, let's make sure that we are ready for them. But that's all I can say in the moment.
Thank you.
Okay, Carl.
Hi, Jurgen. Can I just ask you about Curtis and the younger players? Can I just ask you, he's, as you said, he's made his Premier League debut. He's now an established player in your squad for Premier League matches. On the flip side, Rhian Brewster has not managed to make that step to the Premier League. I'm just wondering, is that just a victim of circumstance with his injury and the fact that you've got such quality on the forward line, or is there something else that sort of has hindered his progress?
Yeah, of course, always a situation. He couldn't make it here so far, so that's pretty much the only it's one information. But he made big steps in his development, and Rhian was really seriously injured. So and the first and foremost, we had to make sure that he will be ready again for all the demands of professional football, and he is 100%. He trains now for a while. He played a really good half of the season, I would say, around about at Swansea. Was really impressive. Came here, scored for us in the preseason. Could see he made big steps. So, and if it's not about development, when we say, okay, come on, just if Rhian would be now 25, 26, and I would say, okay, you can stay, work for your chance, and then we'll see. So then don't say I didn't say he can stay. It's just it's a different situation if when you are younger. So that a player like Rhian in his position up front there makes now the next steps and uses the time he lost during the serious injury. It's possible that a move to another club would make sense. But how said, I don't know exactly what will happen there. if Rhian stays here, he's part of the squad as well, like Curtis, exactly in the same way. And then it's about earning game time, and you'd earn game time in trainings and in the minutes you get. That's it.
Okay, and just another one. We know the players who are not going to be fit for the weekend. I think there's only Hendo who maybe could be available. Can you update us on what his situation is?
Yeah, Hendo will be parts of the training today. So he would start with us warming up, maybe some passing, maybe rondo, we will see, as a first step. So he is I shouldn't use that word. So he has absolutely no issues, it's all fine. He's not injured anymore. And now we have to make sure that he can make the next step. What that means for the weekend, I don't know. But I was in close contact with Gareth Southgate, and it's clear that he will use the time with the national team for getting match fit, because Hendo had like 4 or 5 days normal preseason before he played the first game for us, because of the situation we were in. Played in Chelsea, got this little injuries, which was really not serious, but he's now obviously working on his physical things already for a few days, but now more football specific, important with us, and then with the national team, and then he will have minutes, I think, for England, which is then a proper win-win situation. I'm really happy about that.
Magic. Thank you, Carl. Kieran Canning, which I think is going to be the last one in the Open as it stands. No one else used hands on. Then we're going to go to the first embargo. Kieran's finished.
Hi, Jurgen. After Sunday, we obviously have another international break. Do you have any extra concerns about your players going all over the world at the moment, given the situation and given what FIFA did yesterday and tinkering the regulations a little bit? Will you definitely be releasing all your players to go on international duty that have been called up?
Look, I really don't want to sound disrespectful, and how we all know we don't know too much about what other countries are doing and stuff like this. But I think how everybody in a moment, you want to have your family around you. If your son or daughter asks you, can I travel there or there, you would say, oh, I'm not sure if that's the right moment. And it's a little bit like it is with a football player. So you want to keep them. I don't say that this is the safest place in the world, but it's the place we know, at least. And we know how to deal with the different situations, the different scenarios. So yes, I'm slightly concerned, obviously, because it's just difficult to get in contact with all FAs all over the world, and I understand 100% the demands on FAs as well, and UEFA, FIFA, and all that stuff. I really understand that, but and I know how difficult the situation is for everybody, but it's just not exactly perfect. Let me say like this: the informations we get from some FAs is just not. We don't know exactly. In the end, as a football club, it's pretty often that you are then pretty alone in these moments, because we send the players away. Premier League and the TV broadcasters give us a challenge on top, because they just don't care. If our players play on Wednesday night in Peru, for example, they still think it's a good idea to let us play on Saturday pretty early, stuff like this. These are all our problems. If they would use now normal flights, then they arrive at Friday afternoon, and we play Saturday maybe 12 something against Everton. It's just, these kind of things are just not okay. But in these moments as a club, we are completely alone. Supporters of other clubs especially say, yeah, what do you want? You moan constantly. I don't moan. I know it's difficult. It's just, I really think, and it's not, we cannot say now UEFA, FIFA, FA, stuff like this, but here in their own country, the Premier League and the three TV broadcasters don't care. It's the same. So as a football club, you are alone in this moment. So you have to make sure that you bring the players home in the quickest and the most safe way. So, because nobody helps you. It's not that any FA tells you, okay, we paid a private plane or whatever. This is the situation we are in. So that's one thing. And then they arrive on Friday, and then we have to see if you make a test and if you get a result until the Saturday after that. So it's really tricky. So we try everything to make it right and to make it as safe as possible. But from time to time, a little bit more help would not be bad.
Thank you very much.